सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Yesterday we saw that what Ramana is saying is that Chit, which is consciousness, awareness, is Sat, and Sat is Chit. Okay? So when we say Atma is Sat, Chit, Ananda, okay, we have to understand that these are not adjectives. It's not that there is one Atma, then it has three attributes. Okay? Like in the case of here, we saw yesterday lily, which is purple, medium size, and that which Kashi brought. Okay? So we are not defining Atma and distinguishing one Atma from all the other Atmas. We are not using it as an adjective. These are defining words. Okay? So that means, because in this case, purpleness is different from medium size. Okay? Medium size is different from an attribute of Kashi bringing. Whereas in this case, Sat is Chit and Chit is Sat, and that is limitless. Okay? Now, Bhashyakara defines Sat as, Bhashyakara means Adi Shankaracharya. Okay? In Taittiriya Bhashyam, he defines Sat as Trikale api tishtati iti Sat. That which exists in all three periods of time. Okay? Generally you think of existence as existence in time and space, which is limited. Okay? But yesterday we saw that the existence that is talked about here is the very truth of time. Okay? We saw that when we looked into time, ultimately it is a concept that exists. How does that even concept come about? Because of the presence of intelligence, and then there is some existence. The existence is something which is the very basis from which everything else comes. Okay? Now this existence is something, when I say it is truth of time, so that means when the time comes, it is there or not. Yes, exactly. When I say 1 hour, so 1 hour is. Okay? When I say 1 minute, 1 minute is. 1 second, 1 second is. So this is something which is invariable. The units keep changing. The units are just forms. They are just forms within forms. They don't count. What is invariable is the existence. So again, you cannot think about existence as something which is truth of time. Means it's not something which is beyond time. It's not that. When there is time, there is existence. Without the concept of time, existence is. Okay? When there is time, 1 hour is, 1 minute is, 1 second is. Okay? In your deep sleep, the concept of time and space disappears. Existence is. Okay? Existence is in and through. While there is time, there is existence. When there is no time, there is also existence as the very basis of time. Okay? in terms of object. When you say tree, then is. Mountain is. Planet is. Okay. Space is. Okay. So in this case, the forms, the tree, we have seen before, the tree is nothing but forms within forms within forms and within forms, in the sense that the tree is a name for a few things, such as the trunk, the branches, the leaves, the roots, everything put together, we just give a name called tree. Each one in turn, if you look, it is nothing but cells. Cells, how do they come? Atoms, particles. So at each level, it is nothing but forms within forms within forms within forms. What is the reality? When you say tree is. When you say trunk is. When you say leaves are, or one leaf is, flower is, fruit is. This is something which is invariable. The forms are varied and they keep changing. And in fact, not only they keep changing, but when I look into any form, it just disappears. Until the time that I don't even know what is the substance from which all these different forms come about. Okay? So this existence is something which is there in the past. Many objects that are now not here were there in the past. But the existence, the forms keep changing. Does the existence change? No. So that means existence is. Whatever forms are here today, in fact, if you look at micro level, many things are changing even within my body. Some cells are dying, new cells are regenerated. All this doesn't seem, it's not available for your visual perception. Okay? But at each level, you can say body is, eyes are, nose is. Each one is again further and further cells, atoms, particles, but is something which is invariable at every level. It's not to be construed as substratum. It's not when everything disappears, existence comes. Existence is at every level. When I say body is, eyes are, nose is, cells are, atoms are, particles are. Existence remains in and through at every form level. Okay? Itself is not affected by any of the forms, like the relationship is that of wood and desk. The content remains unaffected by the form. Because it remains unaffected by form, simultaneously it can assume all these forms because none of them are its intrinsic attribute. In the future, many forms will change. We don't even know what is yet to come. So many discoveries, right? 50 years ago, if you had asked somebody what would be the life like in 2020, they would have imagined something with reference to what was existing then. But so many discoveries were made which totally changed the life. Okay? So many new forms are going to come 100 years from now, 200 years from now. But the fact is, what is the fact? No matter which form comes, the form is mithya, okay? The existence is invariable. That is why, without knowing each particular form, you can know clearly that this existence is the truth of all forms, known to me and unknown to me. Because even right now, how many forms are there in the universe and how many you know about? Very few. But because this relationship between any object which is a form with a given name and a function, and existence is something which remains constant. Therefore, you can make a statement that all the past, whenever there was of any form, existence is invariable. Today, there are many forms, existence is invariable. In future, there will be many different forms, existence is invariable. And it never gets affected by the forms, whereas forms depend upon this existence. Okay? So this is what you understand by Trikale Apidishtati. It was there in the past, it is there in the present, and it will also be in the future. When the time resolves, existence still is. Okay? So this existence is not something which is inert. That existence is consciousness. This is what Ramana is saying. That consciousness which is self-evident to you is the existence which is the truth of time, space and every object. That existence is consciousness. There are no two things. One is the existence, one attribute, and consciousness, the other attribute. Okay? Now consciousness is again something when we say it is the truth of everything, at every level you can understand consciousness is. Okay? Now here many people ask this question, if consciousness is in and through everything, why is it that the mountain does not talk? The mountain does not say, today I am bored being very high, I want to be a little bit lower, or I want to get higher. Whereas you can do all of that, right? So there are certain things which seem to be conscious, and there are other things which seem to be inert, like rocks, water, even the planets. Okay? They all seem to be inert. How can you say that consciousness is in and through everything? Okay? You have to understand what we generally mean by consciousness is what? Your ability to talk, your ability to lift your hand, so any living being, right? Now, any living being is what we call, there is a difference between that living being and conscious, the meaning of consciousness. Okay? Living being, you are able to talk because of the presence of what we call Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira is what I call the subtle body. Okay? The subtle body, when it is there, the organs are able to, what we have seen. What are the functions of subtle body? Pancha Prana, five sense organs, Pancha Prana, five organs of actions, work, and the mind. Okay? So that means these are all subtle functions. When the subtle body is there, the body seems to be alive. When a person dies, what happens? The physical eyes are there, the physical body is there, but it is not able to interact with the world anymore. What has happened? Sukshma has gone. Okay? The Sukshma has gone, so all these functions that the mind doesn't work anymore, the eyes cannot see anymore, there is no breathing, there is no digestive system, there is no circulation, all these Sukshma functions go away.
Is Sukshma there for plants and
yes,
inert?
Yes.
And inert objects also?
No. This is what makes a difference.
How will you identify a volcano inside?
1 minute, please. Okay. Animals also have Sukshma because they move around, plants, Jagdish Chandra Bose, he was the first one to realize that the plants are alive, right? So that means that they also have Sukshma. But the Sukshma is different. The programming is different. That's why the range and the capacities are different. Okay? But the mountain and the river and the rock, they don't have Sukshma. So that's why they look what? Inert. They don't talk. They don't have a complex. They don't interact with the world as we do. They don't have breathing functions. They don't have digestive functions. They don't have mind. They don't have any of these functions which are described in the subtle body. They don't have sense organs. They don't have anything. Okay? So therefore, there is a difference. What accounts for the difference between so-called living being and inert being is the presence or absence of Sukshma Sharira. Okay? Now, you have to, then you conclude that we think that only where there is Sukshma Sharira, there is a presence of consciousness. Okay? But what you have to understand is that even when there is not the presence of Sukshma Sharira, there is presence of consciousness. How will you arrive at that? You have enough knowledge by now to arrive at it by yourself. How will you come to the point that this mountain, which seems to be inert without any capacity to act like a sentient being, still there is the presence of consciousness? How?
It's a manifestation of Ishvara.
Excellent, amazing. What we have seen, this mountain is nothing but made up of what? 5 elements, if you take Vedic model. Okay? If you take modern scientific model, atoms and particles. Okay? What we miss is seeing this fact that Shankariji is saying, that these 5 elements, where did they come from? Okay? These atoms and particles, where did they come from? There is ultimately the presence of all intelligence. Even though there is no presence of subtle body, there is a presence of all intelligence which brings together these atoms and particles in a way that sometimes it becomes river, sometimes it becomes mountain, sometimes it becomes rock. Okay? The presence of all intelligence is there even in inert being. And this is why this answers your question. Even volcanoes, there is an order when they will erupt, how they are formed. Okay? When do they become dormant? And this is why human being can actually study it and figure out things, because there is an intelligence which decides how the whole thing works. So that intelligence is not my intelligence or your intelligence, it is what we say Ishvara. All intelligence is at play here, there too. And what is the truth of that all intelligence? Consciousness. So when we are talking about consciousness, we are not talking about this subtle body. The physical body, the subtle body, the causal body, your ignorance, its opposite knowledge, time, space in which all this takes place, everything is sustained by consciousness. This is the implied meaning of consciousness. When Shastra is talking about consciousness, it's not talking about what you think to be little consciousness somewhere, some vague idea. No. That consciousness is in and through everything. In the past, any form which is there, the present, in the future. Okay? That existence is consciousness. Because it is the truth of time, time-wise it is limitless. It is the truth of space, space-wise it is limitless. It is truth of every object, object-wise it is limitless. Okay. That is what we mean by Sat, Chit, Ananda. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Okay. So this is something, because it is a reality, you have no choice but to understand it as it is. Now, think about it. We'll move to the next verse. It says, Isha Jiva Yoho Veshati Bhida Sat Swabhavataha Vastu Kevalam. Due to the reality given to the costume, there is a notion of division between the Lord and the Jiva, but from the standpoint of the essential nature, which is Sat, the truth, it is only one. Okay? Now here again, we have seen in detail the one side of equation, which is Tvam, which is you. Initially we were only talking about physical body and subtle body, then we expanded by causal. By causal, what did we understand? That it is unseen result of my good and not so good actions. So it is karma, exactly as you said. Punya Papa account, which is a huge account, which is what we call Sanchita Karma. That is, why do we call it causal? Because that is the cause for me to have different physical and subtle body. So it's just a very logical thing, right? Now, how is it that I, which is consciousness, gets identified with all the three? Physical, subtle and causal. Due to ignorance. We saw also the relationship between consciousness and ignorance. Okay? So everything we negated as this is not I, this is not I, the physical body is not I, the subtle body is not I because it is 5 elements, the causal body is not I because it is something which is an unseen result of my karma. So I am distinct from any karma that I experience. Okay? The karmas come and go, the results come and go. I am the invariable. Okay? So therefore I am not even the causal body, I am not the ignorance, I am also not its opposite knowledge, I am the consciousness which sustains all. Okay? So this side of equation was very clearly analyzed. Now, up to now, we have seen what is that Tatpada. Tatpada is Ishvara. Ishvara, what we have seen so far, what is Ishvara? Ishvara is the efficient cause. Efficient cause, what does it mean? Is the maker of the whole universe, and being the maker of the whole universe, it is all knowledge. Because anything that you make, when you make the pot, you must have pot knowledge. You make sophisticated building, you must have the whole thing in your mind first, then you can manifest in form of actual building. Okay? So that means Yat Karta Yajnaha. Sarvasya Karta Sarvajnaha. Okay? If it's the creator of everything, it must be what? All knowledge. Is it resting on a given mind? No. It is from which every mind comes. It's from which the sun, moon and the whole system, the whole universe, galaxies come. Okay. And what we have seen, that it is not only the maker, but it is also the material. This is something which is very different. Generally, most of the time, all the religions think that the maker is Ishvara. But because they don't see Ishvara anywhere, they give a place to Ishvara called heaven. Okay? What do we say? We say, for anything to come about, there are 2 causes which are required. One is the maker, here in this case pot, maker, and then the second is the material, clay, from which the pot is made. Okay? In the case of the whole universe, you can ask, where did the material come from?
From God, from Ishvara.
Exactly. Why? Because if there was some material which Ishvara used to make this universe, you can ask, where did this material come from? That means there is already a creation. If there is already some material existing, then you can say that, yeah, then who's the creator of that material which this Ishvara used to create this universe? Okay. So, in case of the whole Jagat, you cannot logically have two separate causes. In this case, it is possible. A pot maker can be different from the clay. Okay? But in case of the whole universe, it is impossible to have maker and material as two different things. Okay? So even the material cause is nothing but Ishvara. Okay? If Ishvara is the material cause, then the pot maker can be away from the pot. But can the material cause be away from the form? Material cause can never be away from the cause. If Ishvara is the material cause, then where it should be? Where should it be? If Ishvara is the material cause of the creation, where is Ishvara?
In the creation.
Exactly. In and through the creation. Like the clay is in and through the pot, being the material cause. It is in and through the creation. It is not something which is one person who created the world, God knows from where, and sitting there watching me and having fun. No. Okay? It is in and through creation. Then you can say, but I only see human beings. I see mountains, rivers, I see trees, where I don't see any Ishvara anywhere. If Ishvara is everywhere here, I can see very clearly that there is clay. But when I look in and through creation, I don't see any Ishvara. This is where you need Vedanta. How far does the physics go? The physics goes from taking you from desk to wood to atoms to particles to quarks. After that, they have no idea what exactly is that thing which is the building block of the whole universe. They have no idea. What we say is, the building block of the universe is not any given object. It is the intelligence which brings about the subtlest of objects, puts them together in an increasingly complex manner to create all these different names and forms. You will never find, if you look through your perception, you will never find the final building block of the whole universe. Because it is not available for your perception, because it's not an object. Okay? But you can, once Vedas or Upanishads talk about the intelligence, is it a belief?
Truth.
Yeah, you can see that atoms and particles are coming together in a highly sophisticated manner, where there is so much symbiosis in the universe. Everything is so intelligently put together. The position of sun with reference to earth is something which is critical. That distance has to be that distance. It cannot be any different. If it was different, life will not be possible. Okay. The sun, if it was too close, will be burnt. Everything will be burnt. If it was too far, we don't have enough sun and warmth to make life possible. Having made the life on earth possible, the sun has its function of, it does so many things. Okay? The plants that we use for our food, they get energy from where? From the sun, through the whole process of photosynthesis. They take the energy from the sun. That energy is something that when we consume, it is able to nourish our organs. The sun sitting there is evaporating the ocean water, forming the clouds and making the rains possible, which gives us potable water. Where is this whole arrangement? It's not just random things, atoms flying around and no. The precision with which the whole universe works is mind-boggling. This is why in every discipline of knowledge, what are we doing? We are accessing the intelligence that is there in form of Ishvara without knowing it. When I study how if I'm an astrophysicist, I'm studying how the whole universe works. What am I looking into? All the different laws that make the whole universe what is. These laws are manifestation of this all intelligence. But no matter how much we look, we cannot totally comprehend. Every theory is subject to contention. Because our mind can never totally match the knowledge of this all intelligence. It's impossible. But still, the human being is given the capacity to know a lot more than anybody else can. Okay? So this Ishvara is, if you really begin to relook, the presence of Ishvara is everywhere. That intelligence which makes everything what is and connects every object to the other object and make this whole universe operate in a certain harmony. That is something which is in and through everything. Starting from my body, when I look at the cells, when they are put together, I can do this function. There is intelligence, all intelligence here. It is there, it is here, it is here. Making everything what is. Okay? So Ishvara is not only the maker but also the material cause of the universe. It is in and through everything. As Surya was saying, first you need to bring in the understanding of Ishvara. Later on, when it takes a certain depth, you say, show me a place where Ishvara is not. There is no place. The time is Ishvara, the space is Ishvara. Our culture understands that. Chidambaram. What do?
Space.
We worship space. We don't see space as space. Space is manifestation of Ishvara. Our culture has this understanding which is inherently available to us through our culture. Through our cultural forms are evolved around this understanding. This is why people call India a spiritual country. Why? Because there is a live culture. A live culture which incorporates this understanding of Ishvara being everything. There is a Vayu. Which temple is representing Vayu? Kalahasti. Okay. We don't see water as the air as air. We see it as manifestation of Ishvara. Okay. Every form, and this is why the sun is not just a sun. It is, Surya was explaining, Gayatri. That Varenyam, that is manifestation of Ishvara, but it's a direct manifestation which brings about so much blessing for me. So I pray. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted the importance of that sun who's shining every day, which performs so many functions in my life to make my life possible. Nothing is taken for granted. I see the presence of Ishvara everywhere. Behind every form, that intelligence is what I pray to. That intelligence which makes that form what it is. So that means if you see the whole universe with the vision of Vedas, what will you find? All that is here is Ishvara, which is manifesting in different names and forms. Okay. Now, you need to understand one more thing about this Ishvara. Okay. Everybody has heard of Maya. So you now have to understand. Up to now, what did we understand? Ishvara is Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman. Sarvajna means all knowledge. It not only has all knowledge, but it also has the capacity to manifest in form of this universe. Okay. Now, we have to ask, before the whole space-time framework came about, what was there?
Go ahead.
We are talking about the presence of Ishvara, okay, the all intelligence which is everywhere. When I look at time, when I look at space, when I look at every object, there is a presence of this intelligence, all intelligence, which is what we call Ishvara. Okay. Now, if I ask you, before the manifestation of time, space and object, what was there?
Consciousness.
Yes, true, correct, true, correct. But what else? Correct. I mean, it's true, consciousness was there. But what was there?
Ignorance was also there.
Maya.
Yeah. What is Maya? It's true, your answer is right. But what is Maya?
It's energy.
No.
It's a matter principle.
No. Okay. This is what you have to understand. Maya is one word which keeps eluding everyone. Nobody understands what Maya is, but they, Maya is nothing but this all knowledge and all capacity in its potential form. Okay? That means before Ishvara, when we say, what does it mean? It is the cause of the universe. That means it's a relational term. When there is universe, you can talk about the cause of the universe. Okay? But if the universe is not there,
The potential.
exactly, there is a potential. Like, excellent. Okay? Like when somebody is your daughter, okay, who is now going to get married in few years, okay, can you call her mother now? No. Or can you call her a wife now? No. Because wife and mother are relational terms. So when you have a husband, you are a wife. When you have children, you are mother. Okay? But the person is still there. And the person has the potential to become wife and mother. Okay? So this all knowledge and all capacity, when there is creation, the universe, you call it the cause of the universe. We have the name Ishvara. The same all knowledge and all capacity before the manifestation of this time, space and object framework, does it have to be there or not? It has to be there. There is no way it cannot be there. Okay? From its knowledge and from its capacity, it brings about this manifestation. So that all knowledge and all capacity, which has the potential, as you very rightly said, which has not yet become the universe and the cause of the universe, that is what we call Maya. Okay? Maya means there are twofold capacities. Maya is a Shakti, we call it Shakti. Okay? Twofold capacities. Capacity to what we call Vikshepa Shakti, and second is what we call Avarana Shakti. It has the capacity, Vikshepa means manifest in form of this whole universe.
Then that is also Ishvara.
Yes, the same word, Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman, all knowledge, all capacity, when there is a creation, manifestation, you call it the cause of creation. There is a name, which is what we call Ishvara. The same all knowledge and all capacity, when there is no universe, it's in a potential form. So you can't call it, you can only call it a potential cause, not the actual cause. So that potential cause is given a different name. See the nuance. Like right now you cannot call your daughter mother because the child is yet to come. So you have to have a different, the entity is there but in a potential form. That relationship comes, then you give it an additional name. Okay? So you are right that the same all knowledge and all capacity before the manifestation of creation, you cannot call it the cause of the creation. You have to call it what? The potential for it to become the cause of a given manifestation. So that means this is what we call Maya. Same, all knowledge and all capacity. That Shakti, which is a potential, which has the capacity to bring about the manifestation, is what we call Maya Shakti.
That can we say this is the Ardhanarishwara?
Let's understand properly first what we, because these imageries are very important, what they represent are very important. But let's first just understand what it is.
No, first it's Maya and then Ishvara.
Exactly. Wherever there is, exactly. No, first is Maya, absolutely. Without Maya, it cannot manifest.
Cause of creation.
Exactly, cannot come about. So Maya is something which is what we call a potential which can bring about this creation, and that relation, exactly. Then when there is a manifestation, you call it the cause of this manifestation. So you change the name, you say it is Ishvara, because Ishvara is a relational term. The cause of what? Okay, the cause requires cause of what? So of what? Universe. If the universe is not there, can you call it the cause? It is only, So it is only a potential. So that potential is what we call Maya. Okay? So that all knowledge and all power has twofold capacities. Okay? What we call Vikshepa Shakti, and second is what we call Avarana Shakti. Capacity to manifest in form of all these names and forms, at which point you give a different name. You give a name Ishvara. But it's the same. Okay? It also has the capacity to will. Okay? If in the manifestation every form already knew that I am nothing but manifestation of this one reality, would there be any problem? If I already know that all that is here is one Ishvara, the truth of that Ishvara is consciousness, okay? And then I come with this knowledge and I live.
Not do
Nothing
anything.
to live.
And in fact,
Not
we
do it.
all come not knowing this reality,
Yeah.
right? Nobody knows this reality until the person is taught. What does it mean? At the level of Shakti, there is what we call Avarana Shakti. This knowledge of reality is not available in any given buddhi naturally. So that means that there is manifestation, but within that manifestation, the true reality is also blocked from the understanding of every person. And then, but upon inquiry, you can remove ignorance. Okay? So that capacity to know also is given to us. But initially, everybody comes with ignorance of what is what. In fact, they come with ignorance of not only themselves, but about everything else. So slowly what happens? We start shedding our ignorance about the world, we go to school, we study, we do this, we just keep on shedding our ignorance. The time and space framework was always relative. It was never absolute. But this reality was blocked from our understanding, but we still had the potential to know it by inquiring it. Okay? So this blocking is what we call the Maya, this Avarana Shakti. Avarana Shakti of Maya.
That one more is the creator.
Vikshepa. Vikshepa. Okay? Vikshepa is to project. Okay? It projects and it also wills. What Swamiji was saying is also that this Maya Shakti is something which can be appreciated. He put it very, very differently. He says that all these atoms and particles, how do they become different things or even cells? There are some stem cells. Okay? They are same cells, but at times they become kidney. At times they become other organs. What is the process? You project certain things and you block some functions of cells.
Okay.
Then this is how every cell which actually is all same, it actually performs different functions. It's binary. You project this and you block this. You project this differently here, you block that. The whole creation is made like that. Okay? You see the Maya Shakti here now. How the same atoms can become human beings. The same atoms can become animals. How? Through this process of projecting, blocking, projecting, blocking. Infinite permutations and combinations. Okay. So this is what we call the Shakti, is projection and okay. So this same all knowledge and all capacity in its potential form is what we call Maya. When the manifestation comes, it becomes the cause of the universe. The knowledge and capacity remain exactly the same, but we add a name. We call it the cause of the universe, Ishvara. So there are many different ways of looking at it. One can say, there are different ways that people express. Okay? Before the creation, it is the same all knowledge and all capacity is called Maya. After, it is called Ishvara. Some people say Ishvara includes both what you see here and now in terms of manifest, but Ishvara also potential, exactly, also Maya. Okay. Right? So you can say that. It includes both. Because otherwise you will think that only now is Ishvara. But even if the whole universe resolves, Ishvara, will it go away? No. That all knowledge and all capacity will still remain, the manifestation will resolve. This is why we have the concept of cyclical nature of universe. We have Laya, Pralaya, which is everything resolves, then everything manifests again. It resolves, it manifests again. There are cycles and cycles and cycles of creation.
Laya is creation.
No, Laya is resolution.
Pralaya is
an absolute resolution. Yeah.
And creation.
And then creation.
For which words the Sanskrit? Laya, Pralaya.
Laya, Pralaya, and then Srishti. Srishti. Okay. So that means that all knowledge and all capacity is something which governs the whole universe, cycles and cycles and cycles of creation. That's why even for a jiva, okay, as long as you have not inquired into your true nature, that causal, even though the whole universe becomes resolved, your account will still remain in a potential form. all the information of what you have done, your whole karma, sanchit, will remain in a potential form. Then when the creation comes, again one set will manifest as one given
It will
body
not get
and mind. No,
erased during pralaya.
no, it remains in a potential form.
Oh, I
It
see.
is all retained within this all knowledge and all capacity. So in all knowledge and all capacity, every information is retained and then it becomes manifest. So that means you understand the nature of Ishvara is not ordinary. You have to extend. It's not just, yeah, here is intelligence, here is intelligence. That intelligence which is the cause of time and space and every object was present before the creation comes about in a potential form.
Once manifested, we call it Ishvara. And the stage prior to that, you call it potential or whatever, the stage prior to manifestation, that we call Maya.
Maya. But what is interesting is that when you look at the cyclical nature, so this
Becomes
potential
there, it comes here in this.
So you see, there is no linear. It's with reference to this creation, you can say there was Maya, but this Maya before was manifest, right? So that means that it is, you can't say that. Okay. Now this manifest and unmanifest is something that you were not present before to see whether Ishvara was there or not. Okay. But one thing you have to recognize, that any creation, the cause has to precede logically. The cause has to be there. It has to precede the creation. Its presence has to be there. Okay. So logically, it only can be there. Okay. So therefore, and what it can be, all knowledge and all capacity. And being the material cause, it also manifests. So everywhere now when I see in the universe, I find that intelligence which has the capacity to manifest as all these different forms. I find it now. Therefore it becomes knowledge. It does not remain belief. Okay? Even the relationship between manifest and unmanifest is available to me now. Okay? 100 years ago, mobile phone was not manifest. Okay? Now it is manifest. The particular mobile that I bought will become, probably I'll junk it unmanifest in maybe, nowadays the cycle becomes much quicker.
Much quicker,
Right?
much
Yeah,
faster.
exactly, much faster. Okay, so it will become unmanifest. So that means this manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest is not only something which happened at the time of the universe. Right now, this thing is there in my life. At every second, things become manifest and they become unmanifest, including time. The second, which is now, is gone. New second born, next minute it is gone. Manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. But it is not just random manifestation and unmanifestation. There is this intelligence which governs what is going to come at what given point in time. Which cell is going to arise? What cell is going to be eliminated? It all is done in a way that you don't have to now say, okay, wait for a minute, my cell is going now and my new cell is coming, so this organ is not going to function. Nothing of that happens. That intelligence does it with such a precision that it all is just part of this grand, vast order. Okay? So that which connects from manifest to unmanifest, that intelligence is present all the way. So you see that relationship here and now. Because it is true, you can extrapolate and you can say, yeah, it's true. That even while the object is there, there are series of manifestation and unmanifestation at cellular level. When the body goes, it becomes unmanifest. Some other body comes. There is this intelligence which governs the whole thing of which form is going to come, while it is sustained, what are the changes which are going to take place at a micro level, when it is going to become unmanifest, which other form is going to manifest, at what time. That intelligence is something which is all the time operating within manifest and unmanifest. So that means if all the forms resolve, still that intelligence is there as a potential which then will bring about, store all the information and then manifest again another time frame and then object framework. This is what is meant by Ishvara. Cycles and cycles and cycles of creation. So when scientists talk about Big Bang, they talk about this particular cycle of creation. Okay. Now, what is the relationship between Ishvara and consciousness?
Ishvara is consciousness.
The truth of Ishvara, which is all knowledge and all capacity, is consciousness. So the consciousness is the final truth of this Ishvara, which you have to understand when we say Ishvara, what it means. Cannot be just some partial, vague understanding of Ishvara. Efficient cause, material cause, which is nothing but all knowledge and all capacity. Even before the manifestation comes, it is in a potential, which is what we call Maya. That means all knowledge and all capacity is in and through manifest, creation and unmanifest. And there are cycles and cycles and cycles. And the consciousness is the very content of that Ishvara, all knowledge. Okay. So that means that this, when I look into one individual, what I come to is consciousness. And when you look at this Ishvara, and what you come to is this consciousness. So there are no two different consciousnesses. One consciousness of mind and the second consciousness of Ishvara. As we have seen, all that is here is Ishvara, and the truth of Ishvara is wherever Ishvara is. So since there is Ishvara in my neurons, okay, making my neurons work in a way, the truth of Ishvara consciousness is also here. That's why it is available to me as what? I. So what is available to you as I is what? Jagat Karanam, Ishvara. Okay. Now, the next. Veshahanataha swatma darshanam Isha darshanam swatma rupataha. Okay. So, what it says, by removal of these costumes, there is an appreciation of one's own self free from all limitations, and that is the vision of Lord as one's own essential nature. Okay. Now here, let us talk a little bit about costumes. Okay. Now here, there are technical terms used to make you see something. Okay. In Sanskrit, there are two terms. One is called Upadhi and the second is what is called Upahita. Okay. What is Upadhi? Upadhi is defined as that which, as though, lends its attribute to something else. Okay. These costumes, in fact, if you look at the previous verse, the word Upadhi is used. The previous verse has 24 that says Upadhi when the word costume is used. So you must understand what is Upadhi and what is Upahita. Okay. Upadhi is that which as though lends its attribute to something else. And Upahita is that which as though takes on the attribute of something else. Okay? Let us understand through a very common example. Yeah. Okay. Let's say I put something like this, and if I ask you, what is the color of crystal?
It takes the color of the cloth.
Red. Okay.
Not cloth is also color of the material on which it is put.
Okay. So that means that if you don't know anything, it may seem as though this crystal is orange. Okay. But what is the relationship? Is the crystal really orange? No. It as though takes on the attribute of this cloth, which it is not. It's always free. Okay? So in this case, exactly, momentarily it seems like the crystal is orange. Okay? So in this case, crystal is Upadhi or Upahita? Upahita.
That is, the color is different.
Exactly. The cloth is...
Not even the cloth, the color of the cloth is
the
different.
color of the cloth. Okay, the cloth, because the cloth comes with its color.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cloth is what we call Upadhi, because it as though lends its attribute to crystal, and the crystal starts seeming orange. Okay. Now, this verse says both Ishvara and Jiva are two different Upadhi for one Upahita, which is always free from being both. The consciousness on one hand becomes all knowledge, all capacity, which manifests in all these different forms. Okay? So that is one Upadhi. Has consciousness ever been affected by all knowledge and all capacity? No. Why? Because the relationship of Satyam and Mithya is that Mithya can never affect Satyam. Because Mithya entirely depends upon Satyam for its existence, whereas Satyam is independently existing of Mithya. Okay. Consciousness has not become all this Jagat, never. Because if it became, then it goes away. What will happen to consciousness? Consciousness is never totally free. Okay? But on one hand, it has become what? Takes on the form of what? The all-knowledge. Sarvajna, Sarvashaktiman, Ishvara. Within that whole universe that is manifest, it also takes on what? Me, the little individual. Okay? These are two different upadhis. At times, this crystal may seem like orange. At times, this crystal may seem like purple. It is free from both. It has never took on the attribute of either purpleness, which belongs to the flower, or orange, which belongs to the cloth. It is always free. But it is available for me to be seen as, on one hand, the cause of the universe, and on the other hand, the individual which exists within this vast universe. Two different upadhis, two different appearances. On one side, the individual, me who is struggling, and on the other hand, Ishvara, which makes not only me, but everybody who that person is. But are they intrinsic attribute of consciousness? Consciousness is free from being both. Neither it is neither it is Ishvara in nature, That means the true nature of Ishvara is consciousness, which is totally free from any, either all knowledge or all capacity. Consciousness is also totally free from being an individual who has limited knowledge and limited capacity. But these two, as though, give a form to consciousness, give their attributes to consciousness. This is why, if you say, in order to understand, okay, I want to remove this smallness and Ishvara, and then I want to see consciousness as pure. Will it ever be available to you as a pure consciousness? Where will you remove everything and put?
Always there will be some attribute.
Exactly. You remove it from this place and it is there. Consciousness will never be available to you as some pure conscious. It will be always available in form of either the total or an individual. Okay. What makes you recognize that this consciousness is free? Not your experience. Is looking into everything and finding that invariable presence which is always free. So that means the world is designed in a way that this crystal never can be just appearing as that. At times it becomes orange, at times it becomes purple, at times it becomes brown. All the time, imagine all these different names and forms are going through. So if it is arranged like that, initially, if you don't use your capacity to think adequately, you will say crystal is at times orange, at times it is purple, at times it is brown, at times it is green. But if you think a little bit more, you will say, hey, if the crystal is intrinsically orange, it can never give up the orangeness. If it was intrinsically purple, it cannot give up purpleness. If it was intrinsically green, it cannot give up greenness. The very fact that all these come and go and crystal remains means that crystal is already free from all of them. Okay. But because of that setting, it keeps on appearing as such. Okay. This is the nature of knowledge. Don't look for some experience of consciousness devoid of all attributes, devoid of, doesn't exist. Okay? Because even if you remove one object, space will remain. Ishvara, which makes it possible for the space to be, remains. What you have to understand is, through inquiry, through Shastra, that consciousness is the very truth of this Ishvara. Okay? So that the way the knowledge takes place is what we call, there are two ways that knowledge takes place. One is what we call two types of things that happen to me when the knowledge takes place. One is what we call So Upadika Adhyasa, and the second is Nirupadika Adhyasa. Okay. One thing is, let's say you are in the dark. I will stop after this, I've gone way past the time. Okay. If there is rope and due to darkness you see the snake, okay, then somebody brings the light and shows you that, hey, this is not snake but it is rope. After the knowledge has taken place, is the perception of snake going to remain for you?
No.
No. The perception of snake will go away and I will now see the rope. Okay? But if I tell you that actually this sun that seems to be rising in the eastern sky and setting in the western sky, actually it is stationary with reference to the earth. It's actually the earth which is moving. When you understand this fact, what have you understood? That the sun doesn't actually rise. It is the earth which revolves. Sun is stationary. Next morning, is that experience going to change for you? It's not that
No, the experience is not going to change.
Exactly. The experience remains exactly as before.
But the knowledge remains.
But the knowledge remains. Before you were fooled by the experience, now you know that yes, this visual experience is due to certain, it's not just random, it is because of certain arrangement. Okay? But it is not the reality. You are no longer fooled by the appearance. Same thing, when this knowledge takes place, the world is designed in a way that now the consciousness is available in different forms and also as the cause of the universe, which manifests in form of time, space, mountains, galaxies. It is never going to be available to you without all of that. Okay? But this crystal is an insight. Here is a very critical place. Here is one place you recognize that, hey, all these different thoughts come and go. Okay? That cannot be my nature, because I am the consciousness which comes to know the existence of these different thoughts. They come and go, they don't stick to me. If one thought stuck to me, it will be with me all the time. It doesn't happen. But you also know that that thought is made possible because of this all-intelligence which makes the neurons work. But what is even more fundamental than that intelligence is consciousness that is available to you in your buddhi. That relationship between your intelligence, all intelligence and consciousness, that relationship is available to you in your buddhi. And because it is available to you in your buddhi, you can figure it out for the whole creation. Because for the whole creation, it remains like that. Okay? So this is how it becomes direct knowledge. This I, this consciousness is free from both Ishwaratvam and Jivatvam. Or you can say the truth of Ishvara is truth of Jiva. Both, the truth is only consciousness which is free from being both. Both are upadhi, both are appearance. Okay. So this is what it says. Then we will finish the rest of the verses in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.